So this is session 2.1, formatting workbook text and data. And the first thing that we're going to do is add the date. So if you ever want to quickly add a date, the best way to do that is to press Control and then semicolon, and the current date pops up right there. And now we're also going to change on this document worksheet. You can change the font, the Morning Bean font, so that's right in here in the font group. And if you hover your mouse over different styles, you can kind of play around with the style if you want and see which one works for you. So we're just going to, these are all fonts here. Make sure though, if you want to change the theme and have the font adjust to a different theme later on, that you choose theme fonts, something like the Calibri Light. This is the Microsoft Office theme. So the two fonts that come with that kind of theme is Calibri Light for the heading and Calibri for the body of the text. So we're going to choose the Calibri Light for the heading. And then that way if we choose a different theme later, the font will change with the theme as well. And then we're going to up the size to 26, so you can either increase the size here or just go down and pick 26. It's a little bit quicker. And then we're going to choose a bold style for this because it's the title of our or the name of our company, or the company that we're formatting this worksheet for. And then we're going to go down to A2. So it's all in A2. Don't let this part confuse you. It looks like it's running into B2, but it's really all in A2 and just kind of overlaps B2. And then we're going to choose a size 18 font for this. And then we're going to italicize it. And then we're going to select the range A4 to A6, so this right here. And then if you press Control B, you can bold that range really quickly. And then we're going to choose the A7 to deselect. Okay. And now we're going to add some color to our font. So we're going to select the range A1 and A2. So for the title, as well as the subtitle of our company, I guess. We're going to select that and then choose green in the font color option here. And just so you know that if you pick a font color here, this has varying degrees of a certain color, but it's also a theme color, which means that if you change the theme, the color will change with it, versus the standard color, where if I set the standard color as green, then it'll stay green no matter what our theme is. So if it's like a company logo, you might want to stick with a standard color that won't change depending on the theme of the worksheet. So I'm going to choose just a standard green, and that way it won't change if we change the theme later. Now if you want to format text selections within a cell, the best way to do that is to get your cell into edit mode. So the way you do that is, let's say if I want to format Morning Bean to have two different colors for the two different words in there. I would just notice on the bottom here on your Excel document it says ready. Well, if I double click in A1, that actually turns to edit, which will allow me to edit the words. And let's say if I spelled something wrong, so that's what I'd probably want to do if I wanted to, if I spelled something wrong and I wanted to correct it, that's how you would do it. So double click to get into edit mode, and now we can change morning, because it's morning and morning looks really weird with green. It should be very bright, something like gold. So we're going to change that to gold, and we'll use a theme color gold. And yeah, that's how you enter edit mode. So again, if you want to enter edit mode, just double click and then you'll see edit on the bottom of your screen. So now we're going to change both a fill color and a font color. So just to be clear, the font color option is right here. So that's kind of what we did with the Morning Bean name. We changed the font color, but the fill color means the background of a cell. So to do that, let's say for A4 to A6, we'll make the background green, and then we'll change the font color to white, and that's what it would look like. So again, font color versus fill color. Fill color is the background of the cell. So we'll try that again in the range B4 to B6. So instead this time we're going to change the font color to green, and then so make sure it's the font color, and then we're going to pick a green from theme. Oh no, just a standard green, and then also just change the white background. Even though it is a white background already, just make sure that, because we're going to change the overall background later, and we want to keep this background white. Okay, and then we're going to make some formatting changes to column B by selecting it, going to the format drop arrow, and we're just going to make it a little bigger to fit all of that information in. And we can also merge the text as well. Wrap the text. And then we can apply all borders to this range. So that's just click the borders options, and then you just choose all borders. Alright, so now we have a good section for our documentation sheet. So now we're going to format the background, and there's actually a few ways you can do that. So there's actually this almost like a button in between to the left of column A and above row 1 that'll select all of the cells in your worksheet. And if you wanted to make that like a solid color, you would just go to the fill color. And I'm just going to preview this. We're not actually going to change it, but that's what you would do if you want to change all of change the fill background for all the cells in the worksheet. But we don't want to do that in our example. So instead, we're going to go to page layout, and then we're going to choose an image that we've already selected. Now you can choose like an online image if you want, or you can choose one that you already have saved. So we're going to choose one that we have saved, but you can, I'm sure for this morning bean example, you could find an image of coffee online as well. But we're going to choose the picture that we already have, and then it's kind of like a texture background, but it's saved, and that's how you can add an image to your background. Alright, so now we're going to go into our actual sales report and do a little bit of math, and then as well as text formatting and number formatting and data formatting as well. So here are our numbers. And the first thing we're going to do is click in cell C6. And they want the gross sales. So the gross sales would be the sum of C27. That would be 2 and 46. So this whole thing, this is their profit from in different months and in different locations. So the whole profit would be everything added up in this range. So I can just type in equal sum. So I want the sum of all of those numbers. So if you're someone like me who likes to click on the numbers instead of just typing them in, I like to highlight the range just so I know that I've got the right numbers. You can do that too. Or you can just type in C27 colon N46. So I'll just type it in this time, but most of the time I like to just actually highlight the range. But you can type the range in like this. And 46, and then that should get all of these numbers and add them all up, and that is your gross sales. And now we're going to look at the net profit versus the loss. So even if you have a profit, there's always expenses as well. So the formula for that would be take the gross sales, and then we have to add up the expenses, but we don't want to add it to that number. So we're going to say minus, and then open bracket, and then we're going to add the expenses, the cost of the sales and operating expenses together, and then minus it from the gross sales. So we're going to actually add these expenses together. And then make sure there's brackets around them, and then press enter, and you have your net profit and loss. And then just because these are dealing with the same kind of formula, the same formula for this one, we can just copy it over. We just copied our formula over. Make sure it's not the identical numbers, because these aren't identical numbers, so they shouldn't be. And let's see if we've got the right formula. Yeah, exactly the same. So now we have to figure out the gross sales per store. So it's kind of like taking the average of the 20 stores in 2017 that were open. So these are the overall, like in this cell C16. They want the gross sales, but divided by how many stores there were to try and get the average per store. So to do that, I'm going to use cell references, and I'm going to reference this cell here. So I press equal, gross sales overall, divided by, now I could put 20 as the number and it would come out the same, but if this ever changed, or maybe I miscalculated how many stores there were, maybe we had 18, instead of doing a bunch of formulas and having to type in 18 over again, I could just use this cell as a reference. So try and use cell references if you can for numbers in case the numbers ever change. So I get the gross sales, and then I would do the same thing here. I would take the cost sales overall in 2017 and divide it by the cell range, or sorry, C23. And then same thing, just keep going down. Operating expenses divided by 20 stores. So you're getting the average of everything. And then the average net profit loss is exactly the same. So you take the overall and then divide it by how many stores there were. And because we've aligned these together in the same way, we can actually just copy all of these formulas over here and just double check. So I'll double click, and yeah, so all of those numbers were divided by this average, which is different. Okay, because there's 18 stores there. Again, we do this with the units sold. So we'll do equal, and then we're trying to get the per store number divided by the 20 stores that were open, and then the customer served divided by 20 stores. So on average, what would the each store have? And then again, just copy that. You can just copy that over, and it'll recognize that this is actually the number here. But just double check, D23, yeah, that's the right number. Okay, so that's how you would do kind of like a per or average in that scenario. Alright, so now we're going to calculate the net change between years and also the percent change, and then learn how to copy and paste the formula in different areas of this worksheet so that we can save some time. So we'll get the first one. So we take the net change is just the most recent year minus the previous year. So you get the net change increased that much. Our profits or gross sales increased that much. And then the percent change is a little bit different. It's kind of like we have to separate one part of it. So this is the first part is exactly the same. It's the most recent year minus the previous year, and then actually divided by the previous year. So D6 again, and then you get your percent change. So instead of having to redo that to every range that we want that in, you can actually copy and paste the formula. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to highlight several different ranges by highlighting the first one, pressing Control. So this is how you highlight non-adjacent ranges, ranges that aren't touching. And then I'm going to paste, now make sure you don't paste the numbers, but paste the formula. Okay, and if we check one of these, I'm going to press Escape, so then we can check on one of our numbers, and we see that it's the correct formula here. Okay, so it pasted it correctly. And you can do the same thing here, so we're going to copy and then highlight the non-adjacent ranges by pressing Control and then continuing to highlight the ranges we need, because we're calculating for different categories, but it's the same formula. So we're going to paste the formula by right-clicking and then going to the Formula Paste options. Now we will format these numbers in just a second. Alright, so now we have to complete this table down here by calculating the subtotals for the location and also the months. So to do the first one, we're going to click on O26, and if you want to locate that in a different way, let's say if we were up here and you just want to quickly locate O26, you could type it in this name box. So the name of the cell that we want to locate is O26, and we just type it in, press enter, and it would take us to that box. So if there's a box that's sort of like away from you, and you quickly want to get to it, you can just type the cell reference in the name box here. And we'll type in total in capital letters, and then press enter, or totals. Okay, so there's two ways to do this. I'm going to show you one. So I'll do the auto sum for this cell first, and make sure, and that's the range that we want right here. And then press enter, and then you can also copy that formula down to the rest of the cells just beneath it by clicking the fill handle, this one right here at the bottom right, and then pulling that all the way down, and it should copy the formula to all the cells that you need it in. And we'll copy it here, and you see all the sums pop up. Just make sure they're correct. So if I double click here, and that is correct for this location, so it worked. And there's another one, another way to do that in B47. So again, let's try this name box. We'll type in B47, take us to cell B47. We're also gonna, we need the totals for the month as well. So we're gonna, same thing, totals. And then what you can do is actually highlight the space that you need beforehand. So I'm gonna highlight this space down here and click the auto sum button. And that's just another way to fill large many cells at the same time and just press autosum once. So now we can actually go ahead and format our numbers. So the first thing we're going to do is take the first these numbers up here, the gross sales numbers, and we're going to format them using the accounting format. So you can use, to show a dollar sign, you can use accounting or currency. There's just a few style differences. Accounting puts the dollar sign to the left of your cell, and the currency just puts the dollar sign just to the left of the number. So we're going to highlight C6 to E6, C6 to E6, those numbers there, and we want to put the accounting format, which is right here. If you want more options, you can click this drop arrow, but we're going to use the accounting format right here. And what you see here is what happens when our numbers are squeezed, and it looks like it's cursing at us, but the numbers are squeezed because they're too big or there's too many decimals in there. So you can either make this bigger by double clicking the auto fit, or we're just going to shrink the number a little bit. So with that highlighted, I'm going to decrease the decimal to 0 decimals by clicking decrease decimal twice over here, and now the numbers fit within our cells. Okay, so we're also going to use a different style called the comma style, which will separate our thousands from each other. So in the we're going to click on two ranges, C7 to E9, and then also, so we're going to press Control and then highlight this range as well, and then click the comma option up here, comma style option. And you see again, some of our numbers are swearing at us. So instead of changing the column width, we're going to just decrease the decimal like we did last time by 2. And then we can see all of our numbers in there. And then we see the thousands are separated by a comma. Now you can also use a percent format as well. So we're going to do that to this range and press Control. We're going to this range as well, and then click on the format or the percent style. Okay, and we have our percentages there. Now if we hop over to our documentation sheet, we can change the formatting of our date. Now just a little trick, because I used the short form earlier, where I press Control and semicolon to automatically put in the date, you'll see that the formatting isn't exactly the same, and it's kind of like the difference between standard and theme colors, whereas theme colors will change later on and standard color won't. The problem with pressing Control and semicolon is that you can't change the formatting later. So I just typed in that new date. So if you want to change the formatting of the date, you kind of have to type it in. You can't get away with that shortcut, or it won't change with the formatting. But I just typed this one in, and now I can go ahead and change the formatting. So if I'll pull this drop arrow down under the numbers group, pick date, and then I'll choose a long date. And there's more options down here, but I'll choose the long date option, press OK. And now we see the actual day written out, and that's how you would format your dates. So another part about formatting text within Excel is aligning the text. So just like in Microsoft Word, you can align your text within a cell to the right, center, or left. So we're going to left align this date text by going to the alignment group and then clicking this align left. And then we're going to go over to the sales report sheet and highlight this range here. And you can center align, because these are headings, we're going to center align them. Now a different way to move something over, so because with left, center, and right align, you only have those 3 options. If we just want to move something over to show a difference in it, we can also indent it as well, or in a Word document, that's just, you would tab it over, but tab wouldn't work in this situation. So we want to make sure that the expense categories stand out. So we're going to highlight the operating costs and the cost of sales, and make sure that they stand out a little bit. So I couldn't center align it, that wouldn't make sense. So I'm just going to increase the indent. So I'm going to indent this twice, and that way you see it kind of stands out from the gross sales just by indenting. And that's how you'd align, the different ways you can align your text within Excel. So now we're going to fill out this sales statistics table here by adding borders. So we're going to select the first range, B5 to F5. So just to know these are headings, and then choose the bottom border option. So in the font group here, and then we're going to do the same thing to the row below it. And then you can also add a top border as well. First we're going to do, so we're going to click on B9 to F9 and choose a top border. And you can also just add a top and bottom border at the exact same time. So there's an option here, right here. Alright, so that's how you would use borders in the font group. So now we're going to apply multiple formats to cells by formatting this large range of numbers here. So instead of trying to highlight with my mouse, I'm going to actually just click on the name box and type in the range there. So I'm going to, from C27, and then colon, 047, and press enter. And that whole range that we need right there is highlighted, so we don't have to sort of click and drag down the page. And so we're going to format it first of all by doing the comma style. And you see the numbers are pretty big, but we use the comma style there, and we're going to decrease the decimals by 2 so that there's no sense there anyway, so we don't have to put that there. And we're also going to top align these numbers by clicking the top align in the alignment group. And then we're going to select the range again. So we're going to select a different range. I'll click in here again in the name box. C26 to 26. So just the months, and we're going to format them, and then we're going to center align them. And then I'm going to pick a different range. I'll do it again in the name box as well. So I'm just going to type in the range because it's a little quicker, B27 to B46. And that's the address, so we're going to format the address box, and I'm going to reduce the font size to 9, and then the increase indent button just once, so just increase the mailing addresses, and then also top align as well. And then I'm going to select the last range, or the second last range, sorry, B47 to 047, so in this totals group here, and then I'm going to pick a bottom border. And actually we should probably do an all border for that one. Okay, and then the last range here we're going to do is just the other totals column. So 026 to 046, this will select the last column totals there as well, and then just choose all borders. Okay, so now that's how you would apply multiple formats to the same cell. Alright, so now we're going to merge our cells as part of formatting. And as we see here, this California looks like it only belongs to this specific store, whereas these stores are within the state of California. So we're going to try and merge and then also rotate our text so it looks like all of these stores belong in California. So the first thing we're going to do is merge and center. And we'll rotate that after, but we're going to do the same thing with the Washington locations. So we're going to merge and center that one. We don't have to do it with Idaho, because there's only one store. And then merge and center as well here. Alright, so now we'll scroll up. So we're going to do two things with this. We're going to rotate the text and then center align it. So rotate text up. Or sorry, middle align. So you want it being right in the middle, so it's center aligned and it's also middle aligned as well. So we're going to do, I'm going to highlight the range all the way down, and we're going to do the exact same steps there. So rotate the text up again, and then just middle align. Alright, and all of yours, and this one didn't work, but that's okay, we can, because we didn't merge and center it, so it didn't center it, so we had to center align it first. Alright, and that's how you would merge your text and also rotate text. So the very last thing we're going to do in this tutorial is explore the Format Cells dialog box. So first I'm going to highlight this range here, and just the months, and then as well as the total. And then go to this is the to launch the Format dialog box. So just click that arrow under the font group, and we have our Format Cells dialog box here, and now we can make a lot of formatting changes with our whichever range we chose. So I'm going to click the color tab, or sorry, the color option here, and you see we have all of these color options. I'm going to choose a white color. This is for our font color, and as you see up here, just like we did before, our fill would be the background color. So we're going to choose a green for that one. And we're going to choose a standard green so that doesn't change. And then you can press OK. And that's what your range would look like. So another way to do that would be, I'm going to highlight this range. Just another way to get to that format dialog box would be to right click and then go to format cells. And wherever we were last time, that would come up in the format cells dialog box. So we're going to choose a different color for this for the states. So in the background color, or the fill color, we're going to choose a gold theme here. So I'm going to choose a gold standard color, so that won't change if we change the theme. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and change the font color as well. So we're going to choose a white font for that. So make sure you're in the font tab and then choose white font. And you can also change the size here. So I'll change the size to 14 just to make it a little bigger. And so right here in the font style box. So I'm going to choose bold for that. Press OK. And there we go. We have our states filled out as well with our brand color that we had from the Morning Bean Cafe. So that's it for tutorial 2.1. Thanks for watching.